Hello. In this video, what we're going to do is we are going to set up our button so that when we click, it does something. All right, so the way we do this is we create what's called an instance method inside our class. So because we need to be inside our class, we're going to tab it in once to be in line with that def. So tab in once, and I'm going to say def, and we'll call this method calculate volume. And I'm going to make it an instance method, so I have to put the word self in here. Really what this says, by putting the word self in here, without getting into too many technicalities, it means you can access any variable that you see defined up here with the word self. It's specifically called an instance method. And now what I do is I can come in here and I can say print calculating volume. There we go. And we save this. And if I run it, oh, there we go. I click, but nothing happens. But the reason nothing happens is because I haven't actually linked this button to that function. To do that, I come up and I give another name parameter to my button, command equals, and then I say self.calculate vol. And now if I save this, oh, we have to kill our old one, Control C, there we go. Go. Let's clear this. Let's run it. Let's see what happens now. There we go. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually write the code in here that actually processes the information. So the first step I have to do is I have to get the information from the entry boxes. Entry objects. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable called r. This variable, I only need to access it inside this function. So I'm not going to say self.r. I'm not going to define. I could, if I want, I could define it up here and say something like self.r equals, and just put a number in there, and then I could go self.r. But I don't need to do that because I really just want to access the radius, use it, and then I don't care. Every time I click the button, it's going to grab the radius again. So let's get rid of this up here. Let's come down here, and we're going to just say r. So we're going to say r equals, and now I'm going to say self.entry r dot, and there's this nice method called get. And what this does is this gets whatever is typed inside that entry box. Now, I'm going to assume that it is going to be a float. We could get into all sorts of interesting things about managing errors, looking at, checking the type. I'm just going to assume it's a float for now. So I'm going to immediately cast it to a float. So what this does is it says, take whatever's inside that box and then change it to a float. And then I could do something like print r. So let's just save this now. Let's quit. There we go. Let's run this again. And if I put something like 99, I hit calculate, there it is. But we have to be careful. If I put fish and I hit calculate, I get an error. So this is an interesting point around designing an application. You want to deal with different types of inputs and manage those. I'm not going to do that for the sake of this exercise at this point. So we're going to assume that the precondition is that radius is always a float. And so 7, though we might think of it as an integer, can't be treated. We'll see it gets turned into a float there. Okay, so we're going to do that for height. So we do the same thing. And now what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the volume. So I'm going to make a new variable called v. And volume is pi r squared h, so the area of the base times the height. So we're going to say math.pi to get the most accurate value of pi times r times h. There is another way to kind of use a function to do r squared. I'm not going to do that here. I'll leave that for you to see if you can figure out. And then let's just print v just to see what happens here. So if we save this now, I come back into here to kill my old one. There we go. Let's clear this up. Now what should happen is I should put a value in here, 1, 2, and I hit calculate, and there's the radius, and there is the volume after the calculation. Notice I'm using the console as a way just to kind of check what's happening. The next step and the final step will be to take that and place that information inside this text area for the user to see. Okay, I think that's a good place to end. So let's push this up to Git. So Git add dot. So we're going to add everything. Git commit and just some message. So update will just say, and then Git push. And so now that's been pushed up to the GitHub site that's storing all this information. We'll clear this up. Hope that helped. Have a wonderful day.